So I'd just like to remind you of the free athlete handbooks from England Athletics. So you can download the app and you can use the handbooks to help support you whilst you do these video sessions. The handbooks have got a list of all the key skills and techniques for each activity and for each stage of development. And they give great examples of the technique both as pictures and also videos, because even although we try and demonstrate, we're not always given a perfect demonstration. And so for the under 11s, you'd be mostly focusing at the athlete handbook number 1, which is colours red to green. And for under 13s and up, you'd be more focused on athlete handbook number 2, colours green all the way up to black. Hi guys, welcome to another of the video sessions. This week's session is going to be on sprint start, so we're going to focus on the key technique needed to develop a fast, efficient and powerful start when we're doing sprints. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure you've done your warm-up, and then we're going to do some extra warm-up drills just to make ourselves ready to do some sprinting. So the first one we're going to do is some more high knees. Okay, we're going to do this fast, not moving very far forward, knees 90 degrees up. You're going to do this twice. Next one we're going to do is heel tucks. It's not heel flicks, it's heel tucks, bringing our foot underneath. And again, we'll do that one the second time. The next one we're going to do is straight leg runs. So you're going to run with legs that are completely straight. It's the balls of our feet, so the front of our feet, just tapping the floor. So I'm going to show you 2 examples, so watch carefully and make sure you do the same. So make sure you use your arms like you're running, your legs nice and straight, you're not leaning backwards or forwards, you're staying neutral, okay? And this is the balls of our feet tapping the floor. We're going to do that again. We're now going to do that 2 more times, but with much larger steps. One more time again, remembering to use your arms like you're running, and you're not leaning backwards or forwards, you're staying nice and upright. Okay, so now we've done those 3 drills, we're going to put them together in a combination. So you're going to do 2 high knees, then 2 straight legs, and then 2 heel tucks. Try and notice what that action is simulating. Do one more time. So hopefully you notice that those 3 actions put together make a running cycle. So you've got your high knee, and you've got your foot touching the floor, and then you've got your foot coming back under again. So those 3 drills together are perfect sprint drills for any sprinting session we're going to do. So now we're fully warmed up, we're now going to focus on the first of the different starts we're going to do today. That's going to be a standing start. And although it sounds nice and simple, and you've been doing it for ages already, there's some key techniques I want to recap, some key actions that you do in a standing start that you'll also do in any other start you do, including the crouch start. So we start simple, make sure we do them perfect now, then when we progress, we'll continue doing it perfectly. So when we're doing a standing start, we want to have the opposite arm to the opposite leg. We want both our knees bent, the weight on the balls of our feet, and we're going to be leaning slightly forwards. I'm now going to show and demonstrate that, so you can watch me. I'll show you this way as well. Okay. What you're going to do now is, once you've stood in that position a couple of times and got either someone to take a picture or video or watch you and confirm that you're in the correct position, you're now going to do 5 sprint starts using a standing start. So I've got about 5 meters of area here, which is enough for what you need to do. If you've got more, then you can use up to 10 meters. If you've got even less, you can just do 2 steps or one step and a jump up in the air. We're mostly focusing on the first couple of strides in the position of a standing start at the moment, okay? So the first thing I want you to focus on when you're doing your standing starts is pushing off nice and powerful. So your weight is evenly distributed between both your feet. You're going to push off with both feet when you start, okay? Second thing I want you to focus on is the use of your arms. Are you using your arms at all? Are they down by your side? Do they move a little bit? Or do they move a lot when you are running? What you should notice when watching me is that my arms move a lot on the first two strides. It's called a big arm drive, okay? That's going to be really handy for being nice and powerful and nice and fast. And then next is your knee drive. What are you doing with your knees? Are your knees low? Are they high? Are you driving your knees upwards, sideways, or forwards? What you should notice when watching me is that you're driving your knees mostly forwards. So in comparison, when you're doing jumps, you're going to drive your knee upwards. When you're in a full flight running, you're going to have your knee nice and high, up to 90 degrees. But when we're doing a start, our knee's actually going to be quite low, and it's going to be driving just forwards. And because of that, our feet are quite low as well, and we call that stepping over your ankle. So if you watch what I mean, you're going to have a knee drive nice and low like this high, okay? Which means our feet are low and they're stepping over the other ankle, so your feet are nice and low. What that does is means that you focus on driving forwards, getting a fast start, rather than popping up out of the blocks. And the final thing to focus on, and this is for all different sprinting starts, is because we're leaning as we start, we are low and we remain low. So over the first 10 to 20 metres of a sprint, you still have a slightening of your body and your knees aren't fully high. That's important that we don't pop up straight away in a start, because it means we've lost any benefit of using that start position. So now we've worked on the key techniques and skills needed for every type of sprint start we do. We're now going to do two different types of starts. They're going to really focus on a few of those key techniques. So the first start we're going to do is called a falling start. So you're going to stand with your 2 feet together, and with a straight body, you're just going to lean forwards, okay? And keep on leaning, not bending your back or your knees. When you get to a certain angle that you feel like you're going to fall over, you're then going to start running as if you're sprinting. It's all about using that first step and that first arm movement to be nice and effective. So watch me a couple of times, see what I do, and then we'll discuss some of the key techniques that we're practicing. Watch me again, particularly watching what my knees are doing. So when we're leaning forwards and we've got a nice straight body, the first thing you'll notice is I step forward, okay? And with that, I'm driving my knee. My knee drives mostly forwards rather than upwards, and my feet are low and they step over the other ankle. So they're not going nice and high, they're staying nice and low. I'm going to do it a couple more times. I want you to focus on my body position on the first few steps now. What am I doing with my body position? Is it upright? Is it leaning? And what am I doing with my arms? Are my arms to my side? Are they moving a little bit? Are they moving a lot? Okay, so once you've practiced that about 5 times, and again try and film it, get someone to watch it, and so you can get someone to film it or someone to watch it so you can see if you've been using the correct technique and got in the correct position. We're now going to move to the next type of start. So the next kind of start we're going to do is a floor start. So we're going to sit on the floor, then we're going to lie on the floor, and you're going to have to get up and run forward as fast as you can. So as well as practicing your reaction times, it's also making you really think about what is the key positions you need to be in to be effective, and what's the first movements you need to do with your arms and your legs to be the fastest out of the blocks. So you're going to watch me, I'm going to lie down on my front, and I want you to watch what I'm doing with my legs. Watch me again. So hopefully you notice the first thing I do with my legs is bring one of my knees up to my chest, my foot in front. With that position, I'm now ready to push off from both that foot and my back foot to then go forwards. So what I'm doing is pushing off with both my feet, driving my back knee forwards, the foot stepping over the ankle of the front foot, and then extending my front leg to push off forwards. So we do that a couple more times. Really think about those actions of driving that front knee forwards, bringing the back knee through. And just also keep thinking about those arms. Those arms should be being used in the same way as always. A nice large arm drive. And then finally, is my body upright or leaning during the first few runs, especially because you're on the floor, it's quite naturally going to be a lean, and that's what we want. So I'm going to do it 2 more times, and watch my legs 2 more times. So make sure you practice those floor starts again at least 5 times. Someone watching it, someone will be filming it, to really see if you can spot those knee movements. So those 2 starts we've just done are really important practice for both a standing start and also a crouch start, which we're going to do in a moment. The key things to focus on is power, pushing off with both feet, and the first knee driving forwards, keeping your feet low, and having a lean forwards as well. So for under 13s, a standing start is the most likely start you'll still do when you're sprinting. Although we can sometimes teach you the crouch start, you're usually not strong enough to really make the most of it. You need a lot of practice before you can be ready to do a crouch start. And it's most effective with blocks, and that's something that you can work on when you're under 15 and older. What we're going to do now, because you've got some extra time at home, is we're going to go through the real basics of a crouch start, how to mark it out and the position to get in. You can start to practice getting in that position. And we'll also have a couple of goes at doing some 2 or 3 strides from a crouch start, so you can have a go and see what it feels like. But this doesn't mean that you should use a crouch start in a sprint race at the moment, as it probably make you slower starting than if you did a good standing start, use the techniques that we've already discussed. So the first thing I'm going to go through is how to get into your on your marks position on the floor. So find yourself an area and find yourself a line, or make a line, and you're going to stand behind that line, your normal foot on the line, as if you're going to do a standing start. You're then going to mark your feet 2.5 feet lengths back, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Once you've done that, so you're then going to go down and get your knee in line with your toes. I'm going to show you all that now. So watch my feet and watch what I do. So I found a line. The lead foot is in front as if I was going to do a standing start. And then put my back foot straight behind it. That's now 2 feet in length. And then we're going to bring my front foot halfway down my foot to make that 2.5 feet. Now keep your front foot nice and still. That's where it's going to remain. You're now going to go down with your knee on the ground. You're going to put your knee in line with your toes of your front foot. There's going to be a fist width in between. You can see my back foot, my toes, and the balls of my feet are pressed into the ground. So if we have spikes on, the spikes will be pressed into the ground. We're then going to put our hand with our thumb and our first finger like this on the line. And that's the on your marks position. So if you can practice getting into that on your marks position 5 times for me, so we know you can do it each time. Maybe the first time you're going to have to watch that video over or read the instructions, but hopefully by the last time you'll be able to remember it on your own. We're now going to work on how to get into the set position, which is all about lifting our hips upwards. You're going to watch me, and then I'm going to talk through some of the key points you need to look out for. So get into your on your marks position like you did before. And now watch what I'm doing with my hips and my legs. So when you hear the instruction set, you're going to raise your hips so they become slightly higher than your shoulders. You're also rotating forward so the weight becomes more on your hands and your shoulders are actually over the start line. When you watch my knees, the angles in my knees also change. So my front knee should be bent at 90 degrees and my back knee should be bent around 120 degrees. That's the most important thing. If you extend your back knee too much, your hips will be too high and you won't be able to push off. If you don't raise your hips high enough, your back knee should be bent too much. So the angles in your knees are a nice clear giveaway. So you're going to watch me get into that set position a couple more times. Really notice the angles in my knees and where my hips are raised in relation to my shoulders. Okay, and again, try and get into that position 5 times. You can do that from standing to get into your on your mark and into your set position. You should be able to hold the set position for more than a couple of seconds. It's quite uncomfortable on your hands and on your arms. Okay, so once you've practiced that position and again got someone to watch it or you filmed yourself to try and see your position that you're in, we're now going to have a couple of goes. You're doing a couple of strides, pushing off from a crouch start. So this shouldn't be easy. It's the first few times you may have done this to be a little bit tricky, but we're going to start to have practice, see how it feels like. Most importantly, we'll be able to recap all the skills and the techniques we've already discussed today and really practice those and make sure that we're still effective in doing this when we're in a standing start. So when the gun goes, you're going to want to push off and move out those blocks as fast as you can. So the first thing you're going to do is push off with both your feet, okay? That's why our feet are pushed into the ground. You can push off with both our feet. You're then going to think about what you're going to do with your back leg, because that's the leg that's going to be stepping forwards first. Think about where our knee is going to be. Is it driving up? Is it driving forwards? And are we having our foot come nice and high, or is it stepping over nice and low? Also think about, are our arms going to be moving a little bit, or are they going to be moving a lot? And should we be leaning forwards, or should we pop straight upwards? So watch me have a couple of goes and see if you can spot the different techniques we've already discussed. Okay, so what you'd hopefully noticed is I'm pushing off with both my feet. My knee is driving low, my foot is stepping over my ankle, and the drive is all forwards, not upwards. So I remain leaning down, I remain looking down, way far, over to 10, 20 metres away, if I was running that far. Okay, so how to practice those, I've got 5 of those practices to see what it feels like. And the aim of this, of course, to be as powerful and as fast as you can. So a quick reminder is that the athlete handbooks that you can access for free show those techniques to show a perfect sprint start in a much better demonstration that I've done today. So I've told you all the information, which is correct. I've given you a pretty good demonstration, but if you want to see a perfect demonstration, which is slowed down and everything else, then go onto the athlete handbook. There's some pictures, there's a video link in the top corner as well. And that'd be especially helpful if you want to develop any of the start techniques that we've done today. So that's the end of the session. We've recapped how to get into a standing start position. We've introduced how to get into a 4-point crouch start position. And we've really discussed how the use of a large arm drive is important, how a powerful knee drive going forwards is important, with the drive forward not up, so our foot stepping over the ankle. And finally, that we still lean forwards and we gradually rise over 10 to 20 meters. And of course, the most important thing is that we're really powerful and really fast, and that whatever stop position we do, whether it be standing or crouch, it is as efficient as possible.